How do you jump around in time in your novel? My name is Jane. I'm an author, editor, publishing professional. I help you make your writing better. Is looking for a way to imply that time is moving forward, but they've got a bunch of really choppy scenes and they're trying to figure out how to make it not be choppy. This choppiness happens almost always when one of two those two things. Number one, you've got a big prologue full of backstory and you're trying to pretend that it's not backstory. So you started when the character was 11 and then jumped forward to when he's 13 and then was 17 and then 21, then 22 and then 27. And now we have landed where he's 31 and the story's actually going to get started. You're like, well, but all of that stuff is really important. It's backstory. It's backstory. It doesn't need to be on the page, especially not at the beginning of the book. This is stuff that you needed to write as the author. It's not wasted time, but you're going to cut almost all of it from the book. This is going to change the way your character behaves, the way he makes decisions, but it does not all need to be on the page, and it certainly doesn't need to be the first act of the book. There will be a time and a place later on in the story to work pieces of that in, and then I encourage you to do so as best you can without bogging down the narrative. And I do recommend, like, keep as much of it out of the opening chapter as you can. Look to some of your favorite stories and, like, oh my gosh, this character had such a tragic backstory. That backstory probably got introduced a lot later than you remember. The second time that this happens where people have a bunch of really choppy scenes is they wanted to write something that felt more realistic, where they're like, well, it doesn't make sense for people to fall in love in a week or over a weekend, and it doesn't make sense that this big crazy thing happened over the course of 72 hours, but this is fiction. This is not real life. Like, yeah, it needs to be like grounded in reality to a certain degree, but also like this is why people fall in love in a week, because having these time jumps and like having them be in the talking stage for 6 weeks feels really boring. And so then you skip a big chunk of it and you get to the next stage of the relationship. And so, like, these time jumps feel really choppy, but having them move at a realistic timeline is boring. And so if you're trying to like be realistic or like that's the way it really happened, this is the other sort of like blending of the two things where somebody is writing a story that is like not themselves in high school. But then they're like really married to like, well, this is how the story really happens. Okay, we see you. We know what you are doing. And so I'm going to recommend that you cut all of those choppy scenes and that you just go ahead and like write the story that is moving at an unrealistic timeline, because that's what readers expect and that's what works functionally for the narrative.